I would like to bring in our old friend, visiting fellow at the Brookings Institution, Phillipe LeCorre. Phillipe is also the author of The Chinese Offensive in Europe. So good to have you, both of you with me, I should say, gentlemen. Let me start with you, Phillipe. We know that France has been suffering from sluggish growth and also unemployment rate at around 10%. How do you think Macron's centrist policy will help French economy recover?
Well, you know, he's got to put together a government. I mean, today is the Victory Day. He's going to have to appoint a prime minister in the next couple of days, a new cabinet, and this is going to be very much an interim government before the legislative elections taking place in June. As far as relaunching the economy, of course, he's got a lot of ideas, and he's been supported by mainly the pro-European, pro-business elites, or not just the elites, but a lot of people who are actually working rather than the unemployed. So his focus will be to work for those people who don't have jobs, those who are suffering, and many of them actually voted for his opponents, only 35%, but still, it's not an insignificant number. So I think, you know, his presidency is very much going to have to focus on the domestic matters. He's not going to be traveling around as some of his predecessors. There's no need for that. He needs to, or maybe he'll be traveling in Europe. But, you know, the focus has to sort of rebuild the French society, integrate people better. I mean, it's going to be a really main theme of the next couple of years. And, you know, presidents, just like in any country, they have to start getting to business immediately. They can't wait 6 months or 1 year. It has to start now. So I think, you know, giving a new dynamic to the economy, to the society is essential. And you know, he was Minister for the Economy. So, you know, he's business friendly. He's supported by young professionals, by startups, by people like that. And, you know, he also wants to attract foreign investors and increase trade. So having a sort of economic expert as president is not a bad thing. It's not so usual for a French president. But generally, I mean, the speech, the tenure of his speech was very much, you know, how to put the society back on track. And he actually called upon the electorate, the part of the electorate that didn't vote for him, to rally behind him. But obviously for this, he needs to have a clear majority in the French Parliament next month. And that's going to be his first challenge.
Right, and also part of the global concern is how will France shift its strategic policy? Will France be more aligned with the United States like Sarkozy used to shift France's foreign policy? And what would that mean to China?
You know, I mean, the EU, as you clearly pointed out, has been very much at the center of his campaign. So the first discussion he will have will be with Chancellor Merkel, who is herself facing general elections in September. So she will be the chancellor at least until the end of September, and maybe she won't be after that. But it doesn't really matter because her opponent is also pro-European, Martin Schulz. So I think, you know, it's relaunching Europe through the Franco-German engine. Very important, especially as you were pointing out the Brexit discussions which have been starting, and Macron is not going to be very actually easygoing on Brexit, nor will the German Chancellor, whoever is in the Chancellery. So relaunching the French economy and relaunching Europe, because at the end of the day, France alone cannot change many things, but France as a key member of a stronger Europe, yes, that can change things.
Can I just follow up on one thing? You said, obviously, getting the European situation solved. That's not just France's place within Europe. It's Europe as a whole project, isn't it?
Right.
You have deep skepticism on part of the citizens about whether it's working for them, but also deep structural problems. Italy, huge amounts of problems with debt, banking collapse maybe on the horizon. Greece, still not solved. Skepticism in Eastern Europe about the European integration project. Does Macron have any ideas to hark back to the old days where the French and the Germans really led the way with Project Europe, or is it going to be more of the same?
Well, obviously, you know, we've reached an EU of 28 members, soon to be 27. But so it's a much bigger union than we had 12 years ago when we enlarged the EU to 12 or 13 new members. So it's not going to go away. But I think relaunching a core Europe, the founding members of Europe, there were 6 countries at the beginning, and especially the Eurozone, appointing a Eurozone finance minister who will be holding together the Eurozone group, and also having more joint projects among these 6 core nations is essential. Now, there are problems with Eastern Europe in particular. Italy is probably heading towards a general election this year. But if you don't have the French and the German getting together to sort out the current state of the EU and sorting out Brexit in particular, it's not going to work. So I think a lot of Europeans are actually expecting much from this election. Obviously, having a young, energetic president is something that France needed. And one can hope that the Eurozone will benefit from this.
People in Asia are also watching. How do you expect a Macron administration China policy will be, both in terms of investment and trade relations, and also in terms of security?
He's a pro-business president, so he'll address every nation that want to come and do business in the Eurozone. I mean, certainly the Chinese are very much interested in the EU, in the European markets, and so I think France will welcome this, as will the rest of Europe. Having said that, there are a number of issues on trade, on investments that will also be addressed, that were addressed by the outgoing government and that will be addressed by Macron. But he's very inclusive man, and I don't believe France will close its borders. Rather the opposite, in fact.
Thank you very much, Phillipe LeCorre from the Brookings Institution, and also my colleague Nathan King. Thank you.